She forged my name, stole my job, and opened accounts in my identity, and when I confronted her, she just said it was an experiment. I still can't wrap my head around it. Seeing my own name on applications I never filled out, debts I never racked up, jobs I never even interviewed for. And the worst part, it's her, my twin sister, my supposed other half. Somehow, she's been living pieces of my life while I slept through them. And I only found out because my bank called me about a credit card I never applied for. At first, I thought it was a clerical error. I mean, mistakes happen, right? I'm not someone who checks my credit obsessively. I've got bills, work life. But even I know enough to be freaked out when someone tries to open a line of credit in your name. So I pulled up my reports, all neat and tidy like I always hoped they would be. And there it was. Everything I didn't do. And the kicker, the address for some of it was hers. Not my address. Hers. It's insane. She's always been this. I don't know, wild card. That's putting it mildly. We grew up together. Sure, sharing the same room, the same toys, the same looks, the same stupid jokes. But even as kids, she had this hunger for attention. Always the louder one, the one who tried things first, the one who tested boundaries, just to see what would happen. I was the cautious one, the responsible twin, the one who made lists and calendars and double-checked everything. And now, looking back, I see how that was a perfect setup for this. Because while I was being careful, she was watching, learning, planning, maybe, though I don't want to admit that in my own head. I want to believe she just slipped into my life like some petty thrill, but the deeper I dig, the more I realize this has probably been going on for months. Maybe years. I confronted her about it last week. Tried to be calm, rational, adult about it. I asked her, no, I demanded, why she would do something like this. Why she would literally take my identity and live in my shadow. Her answer? She laughed. Just laughed. Like I was overreacting, like I was paranoid, like I had no sense of humor about life. Oh, come on. It's not a big deal, she said, leaning back on my couch like she owned it, smirking with that infuriating little curl of her lip. You're always so uptight. Chill. I just wanted to try it, see what it's like. It's not like you actually lost anything. I wanted to scream. I wanted to punch her. I wanted to throw every piece of furniture in the room at her and never stop. Instead, I sat there, blinking, wondering if I'd completely misjudged her my whole life. Because honestly, I'd always known she had this streak, but I thought it was harmless, mischievous, weirdly charming sometimes. Not criminal, not invasive, not identity theft. And the part that kills me is how casual she is about it. I've spent years following rules, paying bills on time, making sure I'm responsible and careful, and she just walks in and takes the easy path, my path, and laughs when I'm hurt. I can't even explain the betrayal. It's not just the money, or the potential debt, or the ruined credit score. It's the violation, I guess. She's not just hurting me financially, she's twisting my life into this mirror of hers. She's living parts of me, and I didn't even know it. I've spent nights lying awake, thinking about how I'll fix it. I've called banks, credit bureaus, legal advisors. I've changed passwords, set alerts, put freezes on accounts. But nothing feels like enough. Because she's not some stranger. She's my sister, my twin, someone I grew up thinking I could trust with every secret, every worry. And now, I don't know if I can even look at her the same way. And yeah, I know some people might say, it's just credit cards, it's just loans. But it's not. It's the fact that she sees my life as something to toy with, something to imitate, borrow, exploit. That hurts in a way I didn't expect, like, she's not just crossing a line, she's erasing it. And every time I see her, I get this little knot in my stomach because I can't tell if she's going to do it again. If she'll escalate, I don't even want to think about it. It's weird too, because part of me keeps wondering, did she always envy me? Did she always want what I have? Because growing up, we were always compared, you know? Teachers, relatives, everyone pointing out how different we are. I always followed the rules. I always tried to be good. She always pushed the limits. But this is something else entirely. She's not just pushing limits. She's erasing boundaries, crossing into my life, my credit, my work, my name. I tried talking to our parents about it. Big mistake. They barely even looked up from their phones. "You two are adults, sort it out," my mom said. Like that was supposed to solve anything. And Dad, he just sighed and muttered something about sisters being sisters. Which I guess is true in some twisted way, but it doesn't fix my bank account or my anxiety. So now I'm stuck. I can protect my finances, sure. Freeze accounts, report fraud, all that. But how do you protect yourself from someone who knows you, who is you, in a sense, and chooses to live in your shadow while pretending it's harmless fun? How do you deal with someone who laughs in your face while ripping you apart piece by piece? I don't have answers yet. But what I do know is this. I can't keep pretending it's just a prank. I can't keep pretending it's just her wild streak. Because at this point, it's identity theft. It's personal violation. It's betrayal. And it's my life she's playing with. I didn't sleep much that night. I just sat on my bed, staring at the ceiling, thinking about all the little ways she could have been pretending to be me, all the tiny pieces of my life she could have touched. I kept replaying every conversation we'd had lately, wondering if she'd been lying about everything, even the casual stuff. Did she actually get that job I had applied for months ago and never heard back about? Or was that her? Did she sign my name to some contract I never saw? I can't even remember anymore without getting this tight, sick feeling in my chest. The next morning, I tried to act normal, like nothing had changed, because I wasn't ready to confront her again. I made coffee, went through emails, tried to organize my thoughts. But everywhere I looked, there were reminders of her existence, bleeding into mine. My phone buzzed with alerts from my bank. New inquiry, new account opened. Each one felt like a little dagger. And the thought that she could just do this again, at any time, made it worse. I decided to follow her in a way. Not like a stalker, more like observation. I needed to see if she was living in my shoes in other ways, if she had somehow taken my life beyond the financial side. It sounds obsessive, I know. But when someone invades your life this way, I guess obsession feels necessary. I started checking her social media. That was a mistake. She had photos from a weekend I thought I spent alone, selfies with people I didn't know, comments about things I never did. One post made me freeze for hours. She mentioned a meeting with my boss to discuss a project. My heart stopped. That was my project. My work. How did she even? I felt this mix of fear, rage, and disbelief. And underneath it all, this bizarre, gnawing sadness. Because part of me felt like I'd been invisible, like she had taken over parts of my life I didn't even realize I wanted. When I finally confronted her again, I tried a different approach. I didn't yell. I didn't plead. I just laid it all out, cold and factual. You've opened credit cards in my name. You've taken loans I didn't authorize. You've maybe even gone to work pretending to be me. This stops now. Her reaction was infuriating. She tilted her head, smirked, and said, "You're dramatic. I told you, it's just an experiment. Chill. An experiment. An experiment." I almost laughed, except I was crying instead. I couldn't even form words. How could she say that like it was no big deal? Like she wasn't destroying my life in the process. I think what hurts the most isn't the money. It isn't the credit scores or the potential legal mess. It's the realization that the person I thought I knew, the person who shared my birthday, my childhood, my life, is capable of this level of disregard. I always thought twins shared a bond that was unbreakable, a kind of silent understanding. Apparently, I was naive. I started researching identity theft, especially by someone close to you. Apparently, it's more common than you'd think. But most cases are about parents or spouses. Twins. That's a different level. That's someone who knows you inside out. Someone who knows the way you type, the words you use, the way you smile when you're lying. And she uses all of it to manipulate not just your finances, but your reality. I can't stop thinking about the practical stuff, too. I've frozen my accounts, alerted the banks, reported fraud. I've documented everything. But the emotional side? That's the part one don't know how to fix. I feel violated, betrayed, angry, sad, and helpless. And every time I see her, that little knot in my stomach tightens. Because I know she's still capable. I know she hasn't stopped. And I don't know if she ever will. A week later, I tried talking to her again, this time with a friend in the room as witness. I wanted her to feel some accountability, some pressure, some shred of understanding that this isn't a game. She laughed again. That laugh is going to haunt me for the rest of my life. She didn't take me seriously. She didn't acknowledge the harm, and she didn't promise to stop. She just existed, smug and untouchable. I keep thinking about all the little ways she's mimicked me, stolen from me, been me. It's not just the accounts or the loans. It's the feeling that someone has infiltrated your life in the most intimate way. It's like she's walking around in my skin. And you can't just call the police on someone who is family. At least, not without making it infinitely more complicated. I've started sleeping with my door locked, my laptop in a different room, passwords changed weekly. It's exhausting. And even with all that, I feel like I'm walking on eggshells. I can't look at her the same way. I can't talk to her the same way. She's still my sister, my twin, but she's something else now. Someone I can't trust. Someone I have to guard myself against. And then there's the guilt. Weirdly enough, I feel guilty. Guilty that I'm angry. Guilty that I feel violated. Guilty that I can't just shrug it off. Maybe because it's her. My sister. Someone I grew up sharing everything with. Someone whose existence is wrapped up in mine in ways no one else's ever could be. But you know what? That guilt is fading, little by little. Because this isn't my fault. I didn't do anything to invite this. I didn't give her permission to take my life and use it for whatever thrill she's chasing. The hardest part is imagining what comes next. How far will she go? Will she escalate from credit cards to identity fraud that could ruin my career? Will she use my name to manipulate people around me? I don't even know what the boundaries are anymore. And thinking about it, honestly, scares me more than anything. Not the debt, not the paperwork, not even the potential legal trouble. It's the idea that someone who is supposed to be the closest to you can be the most dangerous. I keep going back to that night, sitting on my bed, staring at the ceiling, wondering where it all went wrong. Did she always have this in her? Did I just not see it because I wanted to see my twin as a reflection of myself? And the more I think about it, the more I realize that maybe I was too trusting. Maybe I ignored the warning signs. Maybe that's what hurts the most, realizing that all the signs were there, and I ignored them because I didn't want to believe she could be capable of this. So now, I wait. I prepare. I guard. I document. I live in a constant state of vigilance, like she's a storm I can't predict. And all the while, I try to remember that she's my sister, that this was someone I loved, that this is still family. But the truth is, I don't know if I can ever love her the same way again. The day it all came to a head, I knew it before I even opened her texts. My phone buzzed with a notification, and my chest dropped in that way it does when your stomach turns upside down. It was a picture of a check, her handwriting on it, my name signed at the bottom. And the caption? Borrowed your identity again. Don't worry, it's nothing big. I stared at it for a long time, frozen, feeling the kind of rage that makes your hands tremble and your mouth dry at the same time. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't even think straight. Part of me wanted to laugh, but it was the nervous kind of laugh that comes before you cry. Part of me wanted to run over there and scream until my voice broke. And part of me just wanted to disappear. Because what do you do when someone you grew up with, someone who shares your birthday, your DNA, your entire childhood, just treats your life like a game? I confronted her that night. I went to her apartment, every step heavy, every breath shaky, because I knew this wasn't going to be just another conversation. I was done asking. I was done reasoning. I was done pretending that she didn't understand the gravity of what she was doing. She opened the door smiling, like nothing had happened, like she hadn't just sent me a goddamn picture of a stolen check. And that smile, it made my blood boil. Really? I said, holding up my phone. You really thought this was okay? That you could just steal from me again, and it's funny. Her smile faltered for a fraction of a second, just long enough to notice, but then it was back. Relax. It's just a check. No one's hurt. No one's hurt. I almost laughed, except it came out like a sob. You think this is harmless? I've been freezing accounts, changing passwords, reporting fraud. Do you even realize the mess you're making? Do you realize how hard it is to trust anyone now? She shrugged, like it was nothing. And that shrug, it broke something inside me I didn't even know was fragile. The betrayal, the disbelief, the helplessness. I felt it all at once, like a tidal wave. And then the anger hit. sharp and hot, like I could feel it in my veins. I yelled. Not just a scream, but a cascade of all the things I'd been holding in for weeks. Every fear, every hurt, every sleepless night, every bank call, every moment of imagining her walking around in my life while I pretended everything was fine, I unloaded it all. And she didn't even flinch. Just stood there, arms crossed, smirking like she was watching me perform for her entertainment. That's when it hit me. She's not just reckless, she's unrepentant. She doesn't feel the weight of what she's doing. She doesn't care. And that realization, it hurt worse than anything else. I left. I walked out of her apartment and into the cold night, shaking, crying, swearing under my breath, wondering how someone could be this close to you and this far from empathy at the same time. I thought about calling the cops. I thought about lawyers. I thought about every option, every possible way to protect myself legally and financially. But none of it addressed the emotional devastation, the raw, personal violation. That might never go away. The next few days were a blur. I contacted a lawyer, filed reports, froze every account I could find. I changed my routines, my passwords, my security questions, even my email addresses in some cases. I stopped answering her texts. I stopped answering her calls. I started sleeping with my door locked, my laptop under my pillow, every little thing I could do to keep myself from feeling like my life was being hijacked. And yet, even with all that, I felt hollow. Because the truth is, the hardest part isn't just the financial threat. It's the betrayal, the way she's become someone I can't trust, someone I can't predict, someone who has literally taken pieces of my life and used them like props in some twisted show. It's the knowledge that the person I thought I knew, my twin, my lifelong companion, my other half, is capable of this level of disregard. Weeks went by, each one heavier than the last. I started talking to a therapist, someone I could pour all of this into without judgment. I needed someone to help me untangle the emotions, the fear, the anger, the heartbreak. And it helped, just a little, to hear someone else say, "This isn't your fault. You didn't ask for this. You didn't invite this. I don't know if she'll ever stop. I don't know if I'll ever feel safe around her again. I don't know if I'll ever be able to look at her and see my sister without that knot in my stomach tightening. But I do know one thing. I've started reclaiming my life. Slowly, painstakingly, account by account, step by step. I'm taking back the parts of my life that she tried to steal, and I'm learning, in the harshest possible way, that trust has limits, even with someone who shares your DNA. And maybe that's the cruelest part, because I still love her, in some twisted, stubborn way. I still want to believe there's a part of her that cares, that regrets, that understands. But I've also learned to protect myself first, to trust my instincts, to recognize that love doesn't mean you have to let someone destroy you. It's a complicated, messy, raw kind of love, the kind that bleeds into betrayal and heartbreak. And right now, it's enough to survive, to take back what's mine, and to remember that family doesn't always mean safety. Sometimes, it just means having the hardest battles with the people who should have been your allies. And I'm tired, yes, but I'm also determined. Determined to be me, without her shadow suffocating every part of my existence. Determined to rebuild what she tried to take. Determined to hold on to the part of my life that is, and always will be mine.